Minasan, konnichiwa, Sherlock this, and welcome to another episode of Sherlock Investigates Japan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to wear the traditional style of samurai clothing, the Hakama. First of all, I will apologise, these are black, they may be a little bit difficult to see on the camera. As for the Hakama themselves, as I said, this is traditional samurai clothing. It was one of the ways of separating the rank of samurai hatamoto from these simple peasants. Simply put, a peasant could not afford these. There is a lot of material used in the making of the Hakama. So it was a status symbol and a wealth symbol. The higher quality the Hakama, the higher ranking the samurai were. These ones that I have here today, of course, are modern ones. These are not ancient or antique. This is a style most commonly used in iaido. In kendo, a similar version is often used as well, but they're more commonly using the indigo dye, the blue style for kendo. All of these Hakama will work roughly the same way, but there are many different ways of tying the Hakama together. Now, different styles of knot may well have different meanings, signifying rank, status, family, or even clan. So any styles of iaido, iaijutsu, or kendo may well change or use different styles of knot as well. So always best ask your sensei, ask your instructor if this is the correct method for you. The style I'm going to be teaching today is called jumonji, which means the character of number 10, a line of 10. Now, to write Japanese in the old kanji is a cross, down and across. The number 10 being very, very important and considered quite high ranking. So, a samurai wearing the jumonji knot was quite a high ranking samurai. It was a status symbol again. So, again, just make sure you are using the correct knot. So, how to wear the Hakama? Nice and simple. By simple, I mean very complicated. So, I'll try and explain this as simply as I can. Our first step is this solid part here. This solid bit, that is the back of the Hakama, the back of the Hakama. That bit, you ignore it. Doesn't exist for now. Completely ignore the back. All you have to do is hold on to the front bit, the soft bit here, just either side of these two ropes that are coming out. Hold on to that, and you put one leg in either side. Now, I appreciate these do look a bit like a dress. They are actually very wide pleated trousers. And yes, sorry, that is the British in me. I refuse to say pants. It's ridiculous. So these are wide pleated trousers. There are two leg holes in there, so your left leg, shocking, goes in the left hole, your right leg in the right. The Hakama then gets pulled just above your obi. If it sits on the obi or below it, simple answer, your Hakama will fall down. That's a little embarrassing. So, just over the top here, and the two ropes, now very important here, still ignoring the back half. I appreciate it does feel a little bit vulnerable, but don't worry, we will be coming back to it. But for now, please keep ignoring the back half. All you have to do is take these two ropes from the front here, keep them as flat as you possibly can, and pull them very, very tight around to your back. Now they're going to cross over in an X once there, and they come around to the front. And when they come around to the front, try not to keep them at the same level, but instead, when they cross over, again forming that X here, they are now below the line of the obi. For me, roughly 1 fist distance down. This is important. If they're the same level, again, simply put, the Hakama will fall down. This form of tying the knot also helps to support the weight of your sword. If the weight of the sword is not supported, simple answer again, your Hakama falls down, your sword falls out. It's all very embarrassing. So the two ropes come around from the back, they form an X below the level of your orbi, and the remainder is pulled again very tight all the way around to the back, and just below the orbi there, that is where you're going to tie that knot. See, any knot that holds there is absolutely fine. It doesn't have to be pretty at that point, that bit is going to be covered up. One advice I will give here, try and keep everything as flat as possible. If it starts to bunch up or it's uncomfortable, that doesn't look clean, which particularly when it comes to grading time is not a particularly great thing to do. So, nice and flat, nice and clean, it's nice and comfortable. So the next step, now we go for the back. So earlier I mentioned about this solid plate here. Just next to it is a white plastic tag. Now, traditionally in the old days, probably didn't use plastic. It may have been leather or other materials used. Simple one with this. Over the top of the orbi here, these two ropes above the top of the orbi, from above that white plastic part there, hooks over the top. So from above, push that down in there. Next up, the solid plate here. Now this doesn't hang down or just stay open. You pull it flat, so they small of your back here, and these two ropes again, you pull them really tight around to the front. Now here's the really fun bit. This is where the knot comes in. This is where your instructor, your sensei, may well teach you a different style of knot, so again, check with them. Now, I am right-handed, so I'm going to start with my left hand. The rope that is in my left hand goes underneath that X that we tied earlier. So those other two ropes goes underneath both of those, and you pull that through there. So the rope coming from my left, underneath the X here, those other two ropes, and is now pointing down to the right-hand side. Next up, the rope from my right. Exactly the same thing, it goes underneath all three of those ropes now, and from the right, it is now pointing down towards my left. Once more, of course though, try and keep these ropes flat. See, these things, they want to twist. If they twist, if they bunch up, it will not look clean, it will not look good afterwards. If it is flat, it is much easier to tie it all together, and it looks much nicer in the end result. Very important as well, keep these nice and tight so that it can support the weight of that sword. So, now tying the knot, jumonji. The rope from your right side, which is now coming out onto the left, is the one that we're going to be starting with. You fold it up and over, backwards on itself, and again tucks underneath all of those ropes once more. You just push that down from above, pull that all the way through, again try and keep it nice and flat, there. That is simply going to help hold everything in place. Next up, you do that once more, up and over, fold back on itself, but this time, you can see my finger here, I am holding the loop open. This is important, we are going to come back to this. So, please keep this loop here for now, the rest of the rope has already gone through. Next up, the bit of rope that is hanging down towards the right hand floor. This is coming around from my left, under all the other ropes, it's now pointing to the right. This one here, we are going to fold backwards on itself 3 times. Now, if this is your first few sessions of iaido, or kendo, please don't stress too much about this. It isn't very important at this point. When you are later doing gradings, when you are in higher rank, that is when more is expected of you. That is when a lot more practice of this tying is very important. But for now, get used to the idea of 3 folds. 1, 2, 3. Keep it nice and flat, and it now goes into that loop that we created earlier, and simply pull downwards on the other rope, tightens the loop around there. Now, this last bit of string, depending how much you have left. At the moment, this is fairly short, so I don't need to do anything more with this. If it was much longer, you may well fold it around once or twice more, just to shorten until you've got roughly 1 foot in length here. What I now want to do is fold this rope backwards on itself. Folds backwards on itself, and this end pushes up from below, push that up underneath all the rest of the knot. But here's the trick. If I simply pull this through, the knot is going to come undone. So my left hand is holding onto the loop here. I am pulling downwards, keeping the knot itself quite tight. My right hand pulls this loop through, and there we go. Once I've got this loop here, that's all fine. Now with this final part, which is sticking up here, exactly the same again. Folds backwards on itself, tucks underneath the knot, and there we have it. A cross shape in the knot. Jumonji. This is the best way of tying the Hakama to show your rank, your status as samurai. As I've said though, this can vary depending on the style, iaido, iaijutsu, kendo, kenjutsu. Whatever style of swordsmanship you may be learning, you may well use a different style of knot, so always check with your instructor. But there we have it. That is how you wear the Hakama. So, as always, I am Sherlock. 皆さん、見てくれてありがとうございました。後で会いましょう。